For sure, we live. Okay, we live, y'all. We live. This is open panel. Salute to everybody. Let me put the StreamYard link for anybody that's trying to come up. Salute to all the new listeners coming in and all the people that decide to tune in with me. Put the link. Yo, you need the email? Like, I'm putting people on game. I just got done talking to my phone supplier. That's why people need to book these consultations, man. Because my supplier told me about the iPhone 12 just right now, and I pretty much got to check in on to figure out, okay, when is my supplier going to be on game with the 12s? The 12s going rampant. The 12's going to be sold for 2,200 for a max 256 gig that you can be able to resell as well. So book a consultation, man. Whenever you ready, man, book that consultation, dog. You get a suppliers list, you get the traffic, and also you get the method. But yeah, man. Plus the supplier also does drop shipping as well. So really, just get your store ready, and pretty much send people your way. Plus also, I do OfferUp and MaryCart and eBay and all that other stuff. Plus I do Amazon drop shipping with regular products. But when it comes to these phones, yeah, it's time to get in position. It is definitely time to get in position. Cause sales is gonna be made, man. People literally with iPhones, people find you more than the other way around. Cause I'm pretty much got my shit position lined up. I'm trying to get more people position lined up, creating their LLCs and shit like that. Thinking more of a progressive type of investment, man. Cause oh man, you know, always free and welcome to be able to contact me, man. Like with my consultations, man, I work with people budgets. I ain't taxing people unnecessary rates. Salute to you, CT. But yeah, I just got in contact with my supplier, and he pretty much said he'll be on game with iPhones December 12th. So it's gonna be literally by the end of well, salute to you as well, man. Like I'm willing to help with people. It's 24/7 access to me. People that book consultations, they come in the chat as well, and they can tell you as well that I'm a very strategic type person, very pragmatic in my way of thinking, and also ability to be able to do a lot of market research necessary. So, but yeah, my supplier, back to what I was saying, my supplier said December 12th he'll be on game when it comes to that, and he'll have like 64 gigs. And I was looking at Marquise Brownlee's shit right before I came up and did a live right now, and he pretty much said that he's gonna buy his iPhones and he said the price. I said 1,600 for like the 128 gig. Then my supplier said the 256 gig. Uh, that can be sold for like 22 to 2,500 for the first starting months. So right now I'm still having progress with 11s. So I'm gonna keep on selling the 11s. I'm gonna buy some iPhone 8s and 10Rs, uh, XRs, and be able to do that as well. Yeah, the iPhone 12 CT. Yes, the iPhone 12, 12 and the 12 Pro, because both of those. Yes, for the 12. 22, 25 around that area, especially when it's the Pro and it's a 256 gig. Because see, that's why people need to get on top of their game when it comes to just doing the supplier research and figure out who does the wholesale game, who does the flipping. Because there's a lot of people, a lot of men I see on YouTube uh, that's winning off of the reselling game. And that's off of fixing the shit. Just imagine how big that they can win if they would have the wholesale supplier on deck that can be able to have A, B grade type phones, and they can be able to utilize the cheap prices, great entries, and shit like that. Yeah, CT, hell expensive, man, but that pretty much weeds out all the low value customers, man. 'Cause that's a high ticket product to the fullest extent. So I only meet people at the iPhone store and network stores. Meet me at the Verizon, meet me at the AT&T. I ain't meeting up nowhere that's not either professional business level or high traffic people where everybody see. But that's pretty much like a personal opinion when it comes to that. Uh, that's definitely a personal opinion when it comes to Samsung versus iPhone. You know, iPhone is the status symbol. iPhone gets literally the most pull. iPhone's actually got the most pull. Okay, what's going on? But yeah, man, it's about the reselling niche, and that's why with my consultations, I ain't no one trick pony type person. Uh, like you're supposed to get it from the source, and you're only as good as your supplier. So that's why testing stuff out and figuring out, okay, this got a consistent flow, everything's graded, has a strong point system, everything is pretty much on the up and up. Hold on, y'all. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. Give me a Yo. Yo, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What
Yo,
is
what's
going
going on,
on?
man?
Yeah, I can
Salute
hear
to
you.
you. What do you want to chime in, man? Hello, can you hear me? Man, is there a delay or something?
Oh
Anybody in
no,
the chat,
sorry.
man? Pencil.
That was
Is
my
it me?
fault. Cause I had you. So I have like I'm on my Apple desktop. So like the Safari is not updated. So I had to go into Chrome and I had to pause the other one so it doesn't have an echo or feedback. Yeah.
Okay, man. But for sure, man. Salute to you for coming on the panel, man.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I was in the chat. So it's funny right now. I was doing like wholesale retailing. Initially, I started off prior to the quarantine. I started off with like selling headphones, and I was doing like what do they call, like almost similar to like the generic GoPro cameras. Those didn't sell well, but the headphones, the Apple headphones, without me trying too hard, I sold those in like 2 or 3 months top. And I was off of just a rookie's chance, like me just starting out really green, and just putting out, like I put out maybe like 2 ads on Facebook, one on Facebook and one on Instagram, and I probably had about 50 of them, and I already sold it. I sold at least 35 of them, I can say, in like about like 3 months, and that was without me going hard in the paint,
Well, what
and
was your
because I
marketing?
was,
What was your marketing budget, if per day?
to be honest
What
with
was?
you, uh, for me, it's funny. Like when you start out in business, you don't really think about the marketing. You kind of like broad eyed, bushy tail. But initially, my budget. All right, put it this way: the amount of money that I did put into the marketing was no more than $40. To be honest with you, I'm sure if I would have put in 100, I could have sold like all of them in a month.
Okay, okay, because you have to be able to be understanding of how much are you willing to spend for your marketing on a day to day, and are you collecting emails, certain specific stuff like that. That would also be another thing. Are you retargeting them? Because you're on Facebook, they have the retargeting cookie where you can be able to repetitively recover your traffic and pretty much win over a sale on your marketing efforts. So yeah, man, if you're getting some, like I tell anybody, uh, genius, broke genius, he's a person that comes on the panel very frequently. He pretty much said that he has success off Yelp ads, and I told him vertically scale up whatever that's working for, specifically for you in that industry or that niche or a store or anything. If it's getting some type of traction, scale up so you can be able to vertically profit off of more exposure and be able to be more on pace. Like that's why I asked, like, was you spending $5 a day? Was you spending $10 a day, $20 a day?
I would say about
It's shit.
no more than $20 on a no more than $20 on an ad. So it would come up to about maybe like $2 or $3 a day, to be honest with you. Like the most I would spend is like 35 for the month. And like I said, it took me like 3 months, but in my mind I said to myself, I could probably sell I could probably sell them in like a month's time
You
if
gotta
I
bump
put in
that
like
up.
$50. Yeah. Or less.
You
Yeah.
gotta bump that. You gotta bump that up, man. $2 a day. Like the bare minimum. I don't know. The bare minimum for me is like five, and five is not gonna get you a lot of traffic uh, either. So because really the only thing I would say is you need to capture those emails, man. You need to have an email opt-in. Somebody, whoever does your website, needs to put a module where you can capture those emails. Because if you're getting small traffic, you need to maximize the small traffic. I'm not saying you do anything wrong. At least you chose a marketing platform, but you need to scale up from $2 a day, at least $5 to $7 a day. And really, people that I noticed that get traction on Facebook, but they have their joints up at $15, $20 a day. So, because with Facebook, you're getting impressions. Now, the thing that I like, that I always pretty much utilize is Google and Bing, because it's cost per click, not impressions. It's really with Facebook and Instagram. Instagram is expensive as shit, to be honest. Instagram and Facebook, you can get sales. You can get sales. I'm not saying that, but really, it's brand awareness. It's pretty much you're gonna have a lot of window shoppers.
Definitely Instagram. Facebook has been really good for me. Instagram, I think it's because I don't know, maybe it's because it's like, okay, you don't have a marketplace, right? So it's not like you have a Facebook marketplace where it's designed specifically for that. Like you're competing with other generic brands. And I feel like though, in a way, like Instagram is more about who has the most clout. That's who the consumer is going to go to. It's not off of, I just need something quick and, quick and like wham, bam, thank you, man, kind of thing.
Because really, I would say with Facebook and Instagram ads, if somebody wants to be able to create a brand and they need to be able to get some brand awareness, okay, cool. But if you need generated targeted sales, I don't know. With Facebook, people get a lot of sales on Facebook, but me personally, I don't necessarily care for Facebook. So only thing I could say is with you on that, if you're getting sales on Facebook, just scale up your budget vertically, and or create a multiple ad sets. Creating multiple ad sets will help you, and you can be able to capitalize off of everything's low. Your marketing is low, because a lot of times when you scale up vertically, it'd be too high. But when it comes to being more prepared on a vertical scale, I would say $15, $20 a day. Make sure you're capturing emails, collecting emails, phone numbers, so you can be able to do a follow-up, and you pretty much put them in your funnel. And you can
Quick question I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
Is your initials JP? Okay, because I was about to Cash App you. That's why.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, now I didn't want to put your information out there, but I just because since you've been giving I've been listening to your stream, so I just more support,
Oh, no, ain't no problem. I'm not gonna argue with that, man. Thank you for the donation. But like I was saying, man, what you're doing with Facebook, beautiful. Just vertically scale up, because 2 to 5, you're gonna see double the traffic. 5 to 15, you're gonna quadruple your traffic, and make sure that everything is uptight when it comes to your funnel, because there's a lot of follow-up processes that's needed in order to be able to, how can I say, exponentially scale. But really, you have to have retargeting as well. That retargeting cookie helps you the most. Okay, we got MLT in the back. Let me put MLT.
Oh man, what's funny? MOT's Patreon. I went on it and I subscribed, and he had like access for learning how to like retail wholesale. I forgot what it was, but I downloaded it and I've been subscribed. He was probably one of the biggest inspirations for me starting my own drop shipping business. He had a link for drop shipping earlier in the year of like how to start off, and that's what inspired me to actually do that. So shout out to MOT for that, man.
Yeah, man. MOT always gives good information, man. MOT always gives good information. MOT actually helps a lot of brothers to be able to figure stuff out. But salute to you, MOT. Thank you for joining the panel.
Yeah, MOT between MOT and
Oh, no
Ramil,
problem, man.
that really pushed me to be an entrepreneur. Like, I'm actually, this funny thing is I'm working on my second business now. I have but I didn't want to go too much into detail, but I'm starting a vending machine business, and by the end of the month, I'm gonna be paying
Hey,
off my
man.
third one.
Hey,
Yeah,
hey, man. Man, listen, man. Man, that vending machine shit is how I got started, man. That vending machine shit is some serious motherfucking business, man. Cause I used
yeah.
to, you know, I used to get shit from Sam's Club and Costco, and then I started going to Frito Lay itself. And once you start buying like $4,000 and $5,000 worth of shit, man, dude, listen, man, that shit goes to like 25, 75% off of what the fuck you buying that shit from the stores at. Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
So yeah, man. So make sure that no matter what your product is, you're trying to buy it directly from the manufacturer. That's how you make the most fucking money. And I don't give a fuck what you got to rent. You know what I'm saying? If you have to rent a truck from Budget or even Enterprise to go pick that shit up, it's way better to do it that way than to get somebody to deliver it for you. And because I just got my little cousin, you know what I'm saying, up and running. You know, I'm like, look, man, cook real good, man. Please go to Restaurant Depot and get your shit. Like, oh man, you know how it is. You tell people shit. I'm like, look, man, look, I got time off today. I'm in town. We about to go to Restaurant Depot. I'm like, look, man, you're gonna walk around this place. You're gonna see how much this food is. You're gonna look at how you used to do it. Buying it from Kroger and all this dumb shit. He see all this shit, man. Motherfucker, quit his fucking job. Motherfucker making like 3 racks a weekend. The only
Yep,
thing he do
yep.
yeah. The only thing he's doing is going to these fucking clubs, pulling up with the rib tips and motherfucker all that shit. Motherfucker sell out. And all he does during the week is chill and take care of his fucking family. Finally got the money to fucking have his own time equity, man. And this motherfucker never listened to me for nothing else in the fucking world until I just took him down like, look, man, I kept trying to give you the information. So now I'm just gonna have to take you by the hand, like, oh man, yeah. I know what you can do with it. All right, here's a truck from U-Haul. Get it for an entire month. I already paid for it. I expect for you in a month to have this shit figured out. And he did, man. I'm proud of the dude, man. Proud of the little motherfucker, man.
Yeah.
Yep. And the problem is that people think that because there's a lot of untrustworthy black men out there, man, who is really
Agreed.
trying to hustle you and shit. So when they run across genuine motherfuckers who actually got the fucking lick on shit, and the way I give it away to motherfuckers, like look, how much you Patreon? What, $5, $10 a month? You're able to make potentially millions of dollars a year with the idea that I just fucking gave you for $5 or $10 a fucking month, right? That's how
Yep.
you can scale that shit.
For the
Yeah,
price of
and,
two
and, and
coffee.
it's like, yeah, yeah. So it's like, dude, listen, man. Once you get the time equity where you can actually do the shit that you need to do, man, that's all it takes. Is that first thing. Once you get that 6 figures, once you get that place paid off, or your rent paid up for the year, and you could take a couple months off to just chill. And once you get out of that rat race type of mentality, you can start thinking about the moves that you get into. You can start processing opportunities better, man.
And that's what I'm dealing with right now, because for a lot of people, I'm more like the scavenger, because I'm basically in my situation, because I live in New York. I'm like right now, I'm technically like the only black person in my circle. Like all the other people are like older dudes. These are older white dudes, older Hispanic dudes, and then a
Yeah.
lot of them are putting me on game, and I'm like, damn,
And,
like
and guess what
I'm
they
like,
required of you? Principle. That's the only thing they required out of you, man. Like they didn't ask for anything because it's hard to be around motherfuckers who just want to listen and follow through. That's all they wanted, man. And it's like people can't even do that shit to stay around people who are actually doing shit.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
man.
it
So,
and it's not it's RDF. It's not to change your the topic into like a one about the community, but I've been thinking like, damn, like this one Hispanic dude, like he said, one of his routes, one of his locations pays off for his mortgage, and I'm like, I mean, I know there's MOT, and I know there's Ramil and whatnot, and I'm like, damn, like where's the black equivalent to that? Like, why am I learning this in my mid-20s? Like, if I would have knew this in high school, I would have been set. You know what I mean? I feel like
yeah.
sometimes we focus on the wrong things. And sometimes when I hear these non-black dudes talk to me, MOT's talking points be clicking in my head. I'd be like, damn, like some people really focused on the wrong things, man. Like,
Yeah. And guess what? If you focus, not only do you get more bitches, but you get better quality motherfuckers, man.
yeah,
So I'm
Yeah, you
like,
weed out a lot of people.
if bitches, yeah, man. So if like bitches, it's your end goal, which it shouldn't be. I'm like, dude, just wait till you get around cultured individuals who actually knows how to take care of your motherfucking ass, so that way you don't need all this random bullshit around, man.
yeah,
It's great,
yeah.
fucking awesome, dude.
And that's why
Because
I feel like it's. Oh, go ahead.
you can be able to weed out a lot of people just with MOT said, man.
Yeah, I just feel like this. You know, like we always talk about like how some people come in like almost like a dark side with the boombox. Like everybody from the dark side of the moon comes in, and it just then it deters into another subject. But I feel as though with the knowledge that you guys are providing, it makes me think like, damn, like how many black men don't know about this? Like how many black men are stuck in situations? I know friends of mine
All of
that are
all of
yeah, like stuck in situations where they thought just chasing after a chick was like that's like the Garden of Eden for them. That was like the pursuit of happiness, and they are miserable. Like the light in their eyes, they don't have it anymore. They just suck the joy right out of them. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, like I know one person. I was telling him about the vending machine. I was like, yo, let's start this. Like, you'll just drive for me and we'll go. Because I live in, like I said, I live in this New York City. So we could just ride around the boroughs, especially in Long Island. MOT, there's somebody, an older white dude I know. He said he would have sold me his route in Long Island. Remember, I mind you, I live in Brooklyn. But he would have sold me his route in Long Island for 46 grand. The revenue off of
yeah,
that route is almost 80,000 annually.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah. I
like,
mean, 'cause
what the hell?
yeah, I mean, and that's not the only thing, because you got UPS routes and FedEx routes that are on sale as well. Because I just got my brother, I just bought one in cash for him, and we wasn't on good terms or whatever. But I bought one in cash for him. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, look, here's the thing. You already working at FedEx. He was like, no, man, I don't want to do that. I'm like, hey, man, I got your own route. You're gonna make gross 250K. You want it? What I need? Nothing. I already bought it for you. Only thing you gotta do is just go talk to the dude and pick up the keys. After we go downtown to do the motherfucking, setting up the setting the LLC and all that shit. I'm like, look, man, it's too much money out here for what the fuck you are actually doing out here. And look, I don't want none of the money. I don't give a fuck about this shit. Dude, I give a fuck about your happiness is my fucking payment. You following the
Exactly.
directions and getting the fuck out of that shit, that's the fucking payment, man. Nothing else is the payment except for that.
I'm telling you.
So like
And
most
it's
times, man, I'm out here chilling, man. I see motherfuckers on the side of the road, striving for conversation, help this motherfucker out with shit. Sometimes motherfuckers ain't got the money, even in a paying for this shit, man. Do give you like some boss ass information for helping them out of shit, man. I'm out here living and having fun, man.
and that's how it
Man,
should
fuck
be.
all that struggling shit. I
But
mean,
that,
man, I'm
but
old enough to have picked cotton in my fucking life, man. I don't want nobody to ever go through no shit like that.
Mm.
Nobody.
MOT, I got a question though. When was
Yeah, go ahead.
what was the time when the mindset changed, man? When was the time where the grit start coming in?
No, I mean, like me, you know, I left home graduation night. Like, I walked off the stage, onto a plane, straight to basic training. I wasn't waiting, man, because I had prepared myself for the moment where it was time for my ass to leave. And it turned out I was right. Three of my homeboys got killed that fucking night. Graduated from high school. Motherfuckers died that night. I didn't even know until after basic training that the motherfuckers were dead. You know what I'm saying? And I would have been right there, right along fucking with them, doing that shit. And it's like, you know, I lost focus like a lot of times, man. And I think it's like you go through the phase of gaining the focus, having the focus, getting your shit together, and then losing the focus. That's kind of a big thing that most black dudes kind of go through. It's kind of like
Absolutely.
once I got homeless, that time and shit. Once I really seen what I was finally around niggas who had real problems. You know what I'm saying? Being around homeless people was probably the smartest group of people I've ever been around. And the motherfuckers would not, because I really didn't have any problems in comparison to what the fuck they were going through. But the motherfuckers did not want me to give up on myself, man. And I always go back every time I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, man. I always go back and I always try to look the motherfuckers up. You know, we go, shower up, dress nice, and then we go out there, fucking steak dinner, man. We just sit back, chill. You know, I buy like a hotel for 'em for a month and shit. We just chill out, man. Because I wasn't always this dude I am now. I was an unfocused motherfucker like everybody the fuck else. Surrounded by a whole bunch of bullshit like everybody the fuck else. And then I just snapped the fuck out of it. Once I got around some real deal motherfuckers who actually really fucking cared about where I was going. And the only thing they required was your ass being principled. That's it. That's all the fucking thing they required, man. So
And to speak into that, I just want to say, like, what really hurts me, kind of like low key breaks my heart, is like when MOT said that, like, you have to, your circle, like, your circle means everything. Like, there's so much brothers that like have potential out here, and they could genuinely make some good money out here if they were just exposed to the right situation. But it's almost like buzz noise. Just, everything else is like just so much distractions, especially on YouTube in this space. Like, there's a lot of distractions and detours into dead ends in this space sometimes, and it feels like it gets kind of convoluted to the point where it's like, no, that's not the goal of me trying to chase a chick or chase this and chase that. It's like, make sure I'm financially situated, because next month I plan on trying to go to LA, and I feel as though I want it to where I don't have to really work for anybody. I can just take trips to wherever I want to go at any time. And that I think that should be the goal. Like, you shouldn't. My goal is I don't want to work for nobody past 45, 50.
no doubt, man. Shit, I'm 42 right now, and I couldn't imagine it, man. It's just that, at the end of the day, man, that once you get that time equity, it doesn't even matter if you made 30 plus grand a fucking year. As long as your fucking rent is paid off and your ass is able to eat, and you ain't trying to buy all these self-esteem based purchases to feel good about yourself so a bitch can feel good about you type stupid shit, where you should just be feeling good about yourself and the fact that you're in a good ass situation without a bitch. Most black men need to learn that shit too. Because doing good and trying to show that shit off is how you attract these anchor assholes to you in the first place.
Yeah. True.
Because there's a lot of dudes just off focus, off kilter altogether. It's like, damn. Because in high school, I had that sophomore year, I had that mindset that, okay, I'm in the halfway mark right now. It's time to be able to figure out what's next. What's my next move?
Yeah, man.
What am I doing 5 steps ahead? Because white kids, they had it where they already had like a family involved with some type of trade, and the Asian kids, I knew Asian kids in MOT that was getting paid by Microsoft, just for the tech shit, and this is high school.
Niggas got vision boards in their fucking bedroom as some shit as young as they fucking remember. Deliverables that they gotta deliver on as a young ass kid, as young as they can fucking remember.
I understood when the part of having a legacy and how other races of men, how their mindset is totally different. I was 19 and I was doing like working at like a YMCA. And there was this one kid, he was real cool. He was from California. He was 18 and he was working for Bloomberg Network as a software engineer. His dad was a civil engineer, and his grandfather was a nuclear engineer in World War II. And I'm like, damn, like, how is it that you have a lineage of success and just thriving? And it's like, you could rarely see that ever. Like a whole line. It's almost like a clan of engineers. And then I thought to myself, like, damn, like in my situation, in my personal life, and in my family, like, I can't say like, oh, my dad was a master welder and his dad was an architect, like stuff like that. It's not like, nah, so-and-so was a player, so-and-so, was womanizer, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to catch all the women out here. I'm trying to get my body game right. You know, all the stupid crap that's irrelevant. And I'm like, man, like it's
And then,
like
and you got dudes trying to create more irrelevant niggas. Older black men come to this fucking space trying to create more irrelevant niggas. It's fucking disgusting, man.
yeah, I man, cause I know we have a we have a debates about the dating coach thing, but it's like I know people. It's funny, certain particular individuals. I'll just say this. I see them and I see certain individuals in my family and I see the same movements and the same talking points. And it's like, damn, this is why there's no patriarchy. There's no patriarch in my household. Like all the men are just like, it's like having well-kept homosexuals and the women are the ones that run the show. And it's just all messed up. And I just realized once you're exposed to the world of commerce and business through the eyes of like other people that are not like other men that are non-black, you think to yourself like, damn, like we're so behind the eight ball. It's not even close.
Okay, we got a new panelist. Salute to Mr. Ike. Got nothing but respect for you, man. How's it going?
What's
Can you
going
guys
on?
hear me? I'm not sure if I got my microphone.
That's good.
Good?
A little low. I salute to you, Ike.
Excellent. Is it a little better now?
Now we can hear you. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
All right, excellent. So shout out to MOT and everyone else on the panel. It's an honor, right? So I was listening to MOT the other day actually, and he was talking about I think it must have been live. He was on the road and talking about, moving this consignments and so on and so forth. So, and that is not my particular line of business, but the idea is to always be open to listening to people who are making moves in any arena whatsoever. It may just be pure motivation that you get, but also you never know the kinds of ideas that you may get. For example, when you started talking about this vending machine thing, they put a couple of ideas in my head that are perhaps tangential to it, but not directly related. So I just wanted to mention that, I'm a big fan of MOT. But one thing I just wanted to mention real quick is that there's complacency on many different levels. So the last gentleman that was speaking was saying, hey, I have this acquaintance or friend. They have parents coming from a particular line, architects, this, that, and the other. But the problem is, or the point is, or what we must notice is, it doesn't really matter what level people come from. You're still going to find people whom are complacent. So let me just take example. Like, so I'm an engineer, right? Went to school with a bunch of engineers in my circle. But what I notice is you get people who go to school, get in debt, get that degree, but then they just stop. In other words, they find a cushy job, right, that does not require of them, or where they do not have the ability to take things further, because engineering is like an apprenticeship. After you graduate, that's when the apprenticeship begins. In order to get the license, in order to be able to design things and stamp it and put your name on it, you need to work under another engineer who has the similar stamp for a 2-year period. He signs off on your work, and then you take this series of exams, and then you level up, right? So people, even coming from certain backgrounds, they go ahead, and the analogy that I use is, you go to college, it's almost like buying an oil drilling rig, okay? You go buy that shit, and then they just leave it fallow. They just kind of leave it. They never start drilling for the oil. They go work for an engineering firm owned by people who have these licenses, right? And it's like, well, why would you do that? And then you see people who even take it further. They get the license, okay? They get the license, but all they do with the license is just get a small raise from their employer, right? And it's like, why don't you go out and start doing this thing for yourself? And it's the same kind of excuses that people give. I don't understand it. I never kind of understood that mindset, quite frankly. But the point I just wanted to make real quick is that there's complacency on all levels. And no matter what level you are at, and no matter where level you start from, The idea is to continue to invest in yourself, right? And then continue to use whatever capital, whatever equity, whatever you got going on to continue to level up, because just never stop. Keep drilling, keep drilling, keep drilling down. Never turn off any particular faucet. You open up this faucet and it's going, let's say it's your regular 9 to 5, and let's say you're an electrician, regular 9 to 5. Open up the next faucet by doing on the weekends electrician work, residential electrician work. And don't close up your first faucet, because that's one mistake some people make too, is the sense that when they start making some money on the side, they immediately shut down the first one. But really what you should do, and there are two reasons why you shouldn't shut down the first one. For example, if you use that electrician example, let's say you're an electrician working for a big company, a commercial contractor, you will have the ability to meet certain people that you will not be able to meet when you just do your stuff on the side, right? And that networking ability is key, right? But if you start getting to the point where you start seeing, well, it's getting out of hand, I don't really have time, that's when you bring in help. That's when you turn into the next guy and say, hey, you want to do some work on the side on the weekends? I can't take care of this one particular client. You know, he's going to pay you, what, $200 an hour or something. That's what you're making for the electrician work. You give your buddy $75 an hour because he finds that to be great. And he's the kind of person that, right, that has the, you know, has that kind of a mindset. And probably you met him at your regular 9 to 5. That's why you shouldn't turn that shit off. And then rather than saying, I'm going to quit my 9 to 5 because I don't have the time, that's when you start bringing people in and you start building the business, because it's not a business until it can stand alone. It's not a business until you can walk away from it. It's not a business until somebody can buy it. Otherwise, it's just a job, right? So I'm gonna shut up for now.
No, I appreciate that. There's basically scaling 101.
Yeah, man,
that's what it is, man.
Yep. Building that human capital. You know, pretty much understanding your skill sets and what's in demand. Like, I respect from every one of you brothers in the channel and the panel as well, that very skillful, extremely skillful. Like, I learned so much stuff off of MOT doing the trucking and everything, and I understood, and he even mentioned to me as well that you know, trucking is a nonstop thing. No trucking, nothing gets in. Nothing can be able to move around. No type of transportation, no type of logistics. None of that can't be done without trucks. I said, damn. And I did research. Trucking is like $700 million.
Yeah, and like, dude, coming in making like $10 million a year, like nothing. That's pennies. It's fucking industry. Pocket digital couch cushion money to this fucking industry. It's not even that much. They don't even care. I'm not even a big figure or factor. They think I'm failing at this shit. Like, oh, that's it? Big motherfucker like, oh shit, we do that like in a fucking week. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, yeah.
Well, people doing that, they must have extreme economies of scale. They must have operations among operations that's connected here, that's syndicated there.
They do. But what I want to do is I just want to take this shit to where I could be a little bit more exclusive, like going to Ghana or Nigeria or somewhere else. And I'd be the only shipping game in town that's the government owns, and we split the money. That's where the fucking money's at.
Well, you're going to be a massive developer because you're going to get there on the ground floor.
Correct. And if I'm the only game in town, I can make any types of deals with any type of manufacturers, and it's a whole bunch of shit, man. Yep. So all this is just a work study for me. That's all it is, work study.
Work study?
Yeah, that's all it is.
For sure. Because, man, when it comes to what just was said, he's getting it at the ground floor. Plus, there's a lot of development surrounding it. So he put himself in a position where when the rise hits, he'll rise up even higher because he was there before. A lot of people just coming in, setting up shop, figuring out the connections, getting linked up with political heads, you know, lobbying, et cetera, et cetera.
Like the real shit, like the real ground floor of like paying families of motherfuckers, and we all get money together before the shit explodes. It's nothing to sign an exclusive deal to where I'm the only company doing this shit. If you gotta do some shit, you gotta come through me. That's where the fucking money's at. And you take that money you just shared with the fucking people. It's nothing for me to build buildings and shit and clearing out shit for people and building roads and schools and they do. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. I'm good already. So what I get to do all this shit for all kind of other people, man? It's nothing. No, I just wish I could do that shit here, but it's just too many, people who's invested in stagnation to even try to even do that shit here, man. So I wish I could do that here, but not appreciative, man. You got to go to where your tribe's at, man.
Absolutely. It's just sad though, because I'm like, man, like when you, because growing up, like I don't know, I probably don't know like maybe 2 to 3 business owners in my family as much. There were people that went to school and whatnot in college, but like to know like reputable business owners, not no a hole in the wall type of stuff or no quick rich scheme, anything like that. I'm talking about like reputable people. And it was until like, I'm dealing with other racism dudes and I'm like, yo, it's like you guys make this amount of money like that? And it's like, yeah, this is easy. He's like one location at a motel for his vending machine pays his mortgage. And I'm like, what?
Oh, easily. Like, and that's just regular. Like one of my like older uncles, he has like all the vending machines on like the University of Louisville, because like that's where most of my family actually lives at least my dad's side of the family, in that city. And them motherfuckers been there for years setting up shit, doing shit for military bases, and they've been there doing business, like legit straight up business for years. Motherfuckers knows everybody. The motherfuckers are coming to them, begging to do fundraisers with them. Come and sit at my table for $10,000 a plate. We will organize for you to just make an appearance. Like, that's what type of family I have on my dad's side of the family, man. Motherfuckers ain't got time to be fucking around with this stupid shit all day. The motherfuckers are trying to get paid. And the motherfuckers are chilling out. And the only thing they require is principal motherfuckers. And you know what? Principal is extremely hard to find in black, unfortunately.
Agreed.
And it's just that these people are locked into this struggle mentality and this fuck a person over no matter what. I'm not gonna stick around for the kind of results type shit. And it's like, bro, that shit ain't gonna get you nowhere, especially in 2020. 2020, man. 2020, man, it's a track record, dude. Your ass ain't got a good track record, man. You're not gonna get them exclusive invites. You're not gonna be able to do business with anybody.
Yeah.
That shit is all on the inside, and your ass is gonna be locked out forever.
Yeah, because when it came to, I can tie this in with Jay Morrison. He had billionaires. He had Don Peoples, big mega developer. If he would be able to, like MOD said, keep his track record clean and actually be able to acquire some properties and actually show some progress, he could be able to be extended, like he said, to more dinners, more lending opportunities, more networking connections. Especially when it comes to the aspects of real estate, everybody is trying to get some forms of real estate, from politicians to just everyday people. And he messed that up, raised $15 million, and pretty much just pocket everything. So
and he was also, because I invested like 10 grand into that, and he kept giving people losses, and none of it made sense. Because he wasn't making no moves. He was having all these dinners and these balls and shit. We still had to pay to get in that shit. Now, if you paid attention to like his podcast and shit, those shits were fire. That was worth 10 grand. The money that I'm making off of that shit right now, worth the money. But he kept giving people losses, and it didn't make any fucking sense. Why people would be getting losses when, and that's when he got that investigation. Turned out, investigation and everything's cool, but at the end of the day, man, you wouldn't be having that type of heat on you if you wouldn't been out here actually doing shit.
exactly, man. Like when it comes to track record is pretty much your prestige. People come and say, okay, he's about his business. He can be able to acquire properties. Like I know a guy by the name of Kenny Rushing. And he's pretty much a dude that I got some good real estate mentorship, trying to figure out what's my next play, what's a bigger play into my future. And he acquires a lot of apartment buildings. fix and flip situations, and he has that track record where he can be able to get like a 9-figure loan on acquiring something or lending, or ability to get into an investment group and be able to become like a super conglomerate, individuals meeting up and to be able to create a business group. But yeah, man, when it came to don't get me wrong, Jay Morrison's content, when I first saw it, I was in, because I actually did the bare minimum and put $1,000 in. So when it comes to MOT,
See that book right there? That's a good book right there.
What's that called? What's the book
That's
called?
a book I got mixed up. It's called Crushing It in Apartments and Commercial Real Estate, How a Small Investor Can Make It Big, by Brian Murray.
Okay.
Very good book. Very good book. Very insightful book. It hits it, man. And it's just that you got to understand, man. Like, once you go to like real mentors or like in other fields, they don't mind giving you or even bouncing the information off of you. Like you can actually open up and talk to motherfuckers who are like not in your field and who's trying to take your shit and do something else with it. That's what happens when you get around real motherfuckers who are making real money out here. Other people try to get around you, learn your idea, get out there, try to put your idea out there and end up messing it up and messing up contacts and shit. But you can do all this stuff yourself, man.
That's one of the biggest revelations I've learned so far this year. Like, the people with the vast amount of knowledge usually don't have no problem giving it up to you, as long as, like you said, your track record. It's usually the people that have the limited amount of knowledge, or are full of what, that it's like some ambiguous, some nebulous kind of thing. It's like, oh no, you turn the page for more. If you want more, you have to pay so and so for this and that and the third. That's how it usually goes down. Because the guy, for example, I bought this location off of this guy for $2,500. Right, I'm about to finish paying him off by the end of Halloween. He had other people trying to buy it, but they weren't as interested. But he saw how hungry I was. And he was like, I'll give it to you for $2,500. Mind, he was selling it for $2,800, and he told two other guys, like, no, like, I have somebody else buying it off of him. Mind you, this is the dude.
That's another thing. That's something that's very key. It's just like the NBA and the NFL. They don't let anybody own their shit because they got the money. You got to recognize that. Nobody's just not gonna let you take over their fucking life's work for some bullshit amount of money, especially if they think you're gonna mess it up and you ain't got a good track record with the shit. People would rather give it to hungrier people than people who they don't know what the hell they're gonna do with it, man. But go ahead.
But no, yeah, like, you're absolutely right. He's just told me, he said, all I ask is if you just keep in contact with me, because I put a down payment on it. So I put a down payment on it earlier from this month, so I'll be able to pay it off by the end of by Halloween time. And it was like damn, like, other people could have bought it, but he gave it to me for a cheaper price. We just saw how hungry I was. And he was like, yeah, I got you, man. Like, and he told me he'll help me. Here's the funny thing is, he said he's gonna leave the sodas and the drinks and stuff in there so that I can have something to start off with, so it won't be a little bit too rough for me. And he told me the first 2 months, because it's almost like near an auto shop. He told me the first 2 months. He said in January and February he gave me the recommendation to shut down the machines, because during the winter times it can get a little bit slow in that kind of business. So he was just giving me all the tips. He didn't just say, oh, here's the thing, how much you want it for, boom, boom, this, that, and the third. Like, he was like, okay, this is what you need to do. He said, buy this kind of bag, buy this bag so you can put your money in. He said you need recyclers so that you can, instead of just taking dollar bills, the recyclers are the little device that allows you to take ones, fives, and tens. Like, he didn't have to tell me all that. He could have just said, here's the thing, do this. If you want more information, you got to pay me. Like, he was real smooth with it. And the funny thing is, he has a big van. It looked like the mystery van, which is funny. Like the thing at Scooby-Doo, like, he had like just filled with like products. And I'm like, damn, like, this is crazy. It's like somebody just opened the curtains to the amount of money that you can make. And it's like, man, I'm in my mid-20s and I'm just now finding out about this. I'm like, damn, like, imagine where I could have been a couple years ago, you know?
Yeah.
100%. If I could just piggyback on what you just said, um, there is a certain kind of scarcity mindset that you hear from certain people with regards to those who have knowledge should hoard it, or why is this person telling me something, right? And not to get to this whole community thing again, but I mainly hear it around the African American community, where it's like, well, the people who there's this idea that the people who know stuff or the people who are making moves, they keep it quiet, like it's some big secret, like they're part of some secret society or something. But the opposite is the truth. I mean, it couldn't be, what they're saying couldn't be further from the truth. Like MOT said earlier in this panel, the payment is your happiness. Like he's not looking for anything else. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we're mammals, we're social creatures, and when you're making moves, it's a lonely existence, right? Because they're not by definition, right? You've moved yourself away from the average. You're moving towards the tail of the bell curve, and there's fewer and fewer people. So fewer people that you can relate with. So when you see somebody, right, especially somebody that's coming up that's maybe a little younger or whatever, you see somebody that's hungry, you're excited, you're delighted, you want to give them, you want to push them. People love to do this stuff naturally. Like there's the idea that, oh well, in order to make it, you got to be a little bit of a arrogant, selfish bastard. Therefore, you don't care. No, I don't care how much of a lone wolf you are, how much of a solo ego you are. Once you see somebody that has that glint in their eye that's hungry, you go for it and you give them. You want to help them because, again, at the end of the day, we're mammals, and it's lonely when you start making moves. So, just wanted to add that.
Yeah. It's just that people got to understand, man, that trying to make moves like this, it's a responsibility. It's a huge responsibility to have because I was going to do like a whole show on like the power, the type of power that you have to have as a man. And one of them is to create, destroy, restrict, and allow to grow. Like a lot of people get a hold of that shit and they do the wrong thing with it, along the lines of everything that I just said. However, you can still do a lot more, a hell of a lot more to help these people grow. And it's like people don't want other people to have shit. Like me, I don't give a fuck about people having shit or not having it because I think them having it and them going through the actual course of having it and not being on bullshit and finally being able to operate from the standpoint of principle and leaving whole shit the fuck alone, that's where it's at. But at the end of the day, a lot of people can't do that.
Other people can't do that, man. They say they life. A lot of people are just not very disciplined at all, and they look at you. What you mean? Do this. If you want to be good, you gotta. People want to be Michael Jordan, but don't want to put in that work in order to become Michael. They want the six ring, man. They want the six rings coming out the gate with the
Yeah.
MVP. It's like, nah, man. Like, people are out hustling other people, man. You got people have meticulous type of regimens on a day to day, ready to be able to be multifaceted,
Every day.
multidimensional, well connected, well networked, track record valid, where he be able to step in the room. They may not like him, but they know that damn, the motherfucker's valuable. I need him on the roster, or I need to be able to be partners with him to be able to create a formation of businesses, permits that need to be passed, logistics that's needed, some form of intelligence that's needed to be able to compete. Because you got people like The Rock. He wake up at 4 a.m., go to sleep at 7 p.m., wake up
Every
at
day.
4 a.m. ready. even with the damn positive test, he was still on his phone researching, figuring out business, figuring out negotiations and contracts and shit like that, legalese terms. But you know, that's for nerds, I guess. Shit, let the nerds be the ones on top of the chessboard, because there's people out there disciplined and ready. You know.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I finished my thought.
Oh, I was gonna say, man, all the nerds I know, they're living well. From if you want to say, call like if I'd rather be a nerd, I'd rather be Warren Buffett, Sergey Brin, Steve Jobs. I'd rather be those dudes.
Bernard Arnault. I want to be Bernard Arnault, so I can put in their face. You buying my Hennessy Moet, and you buying my Louis Vuitton Gucci. I want to be Bernard Arnault.
Absolutely. Like I wouldn't mind being Sergey Brin, just have a little a stiff haircut, but be a billionaire and have a software like Google. I'd be straight. I'd be a nerd all day with nerd money, you know. Nerds rule the world, basically. If you're gonna be honest with you, they're the ones that are the most innovative. And it's funny if society really hated nerds as much as it's claimed to be, then why we use smartphones, you know, or why we use different advents of technology. But I mean, you know, some people are just shamed into believing that they shouldn't act a certain way, or they won't prosper socially, but financially that's where it's key at. It's not about you being liked, and I think that's what hinders a lot of black men. The validation from other women is like, okay, I'm not a nerd, so therefore I don't have access to certain women. But it's like, no, it's better off having the financial access. You got freedom of choice and peace of mind.
Dude, you can get hurt. The nerds get them. Do they things, slam dance, and be able to throw in the trash. Man.
You just can't get them here. The thing is, man, like you know, what people need to recognize is you can't be trying to get the right shit under the wrong circumstances. And that's kind of what Black America kind of tries to put in people's face that, look, man, look at what I got. But look, I didn't have to do all that much to fucking do it. When the only thing I do is put the time in, the proper time in. I could go any one of these fucking countries or even neighborhoods where I'm fucking known at, like, hey, man, you got something nice, like, yeah, man, I got the perfect girl for you, boom, boom, boom. Whether it's Russian or Vietnamese, like, dude, and it's okay to sit around and be chilling around culture people, because culture people don't trip off of this shit. I mean, because everybody is supposed to be doing well as a fucking man. Everybody's supposed to be doing well.
Everybody's supposed to be at least
straight up, man. And it's like a lot of people. Yeah. And a lot of people don't really understand. Well, they lack the ability to understand it because of the circumstances they stay in too long. Like, people don't understand that. They think they missed their shot, where it's like, nah, man, you just missed your shot. Then you can fucking get out of that shit, start acting like a decent human being, and not having to be worried about this stupid shit going forward. But a lot of people, they just stay down there too long, and they kind of lose that hope for no reason. Start misbehaving and doing dumb shit when they don't need to. And the only thing they got to do is just, hey, man, you missed that shot. That shot that you missed, it probably would have ended up a bad deal, but that shouldn't make you give up on doing whatever the hell you could do after that, man. So,
because yeah, man, like, it's about staying disciplined, man. And dudes want the rings. Like, they want the rings. Now, Ike, I want your opinion on this, sir, when it comes to dudes wanting the prestige.
My opinion, well, that's a pretty broad topic. You mean why they may want it, or why they should practice delayed gratification? What do you mean?
Well, it's more of your opinion on dudes that refuse to do the delayed gratification and get mad at you for pretty much being patient and being more on track, per se. Pretty much just your opinion.
So basically, because a lot of these things are kind of like a tautology, it's kind of obvious why people would want the ring, right? So, but the question is, what is the actual way in which you can secure the ring for sure, as opposed to trying, that's like, you don't want to try get rich quick schemes. You want to go on the get rich for sure path. And the idea of sacrifice, right? The idea of sacrifice is closely linked to the idea of delayed gratification. And even if you look at the ritualistic kind of sacrifice, which is, I'm going to take this sheep or whatever, and I'm going to burn it to the gods right now, I'm going to, or whatever, that kind, the actual act of sacrificing something, with the idea that sometime down the line, it's going to reap rewards. This is something that somehow, somewhere along the line, we learned, right? And it co-evolved in many different cultures over time, the idea of sacrifice, and not just thinking about it, but we actually enact it, okay? Before we could put things down in very, programmatic and logical form, we had stories about it. And before we even had stories about it, we would just act on things like sacrifice. Sacrifice is in all cultures, okay? So the reason, going back to, so the idea, the reason I just mentioned that is that, hey, it is not a simple thing to do. If not, if it was simple and natural, then we wouldn't have culture after culture reminding everybody to do this stuff, right? We wouldn't have books like the Bible or whatever. Pick your culture, right? Going through this idea of, hey, delayed gratification, delayed gratification, delayed gratification, right? So the reason why they want the ring is because it comes naturally. Now, what to do though, or how, because these things happen in a grand scale, and they also happen in a day-to-day level. What I said, or what I say, and I did a live stream when I kind of touched upon this, which is this: we're social animals. When we say something, as when we put out a persona out there, when we say, hey, I am this, right? Or we talk about it, we kind of put it in other people's heads, and it gives it an external reality. Now we start feeling like we're that, and that reduces our hunger. The idea is to maximize your hunger, okay? You want to maximize your hunger. So whenever you get the urge to say something just because, okay, maybe you are amongst a group of friends and you want to talk about certain business ideas, and the only reason you're talking about the business ideas is not because they are consultants and they're going to give you any insights. It's not because they're actually going to help, bounce these ideas, or because you want to be seen as that business guy, or you want to be seen as X, Y, or Z. You want to stop yourself from doing that, because there is a urge that needs to be satisfied there that's trying to push you to do it. But that urge should be bottled up into hunger that you can then utilize for action. In other words, the more you talk about it, the less you're going to be about it, right? Because when you talk about it, you actually satisfy the hunger by putting it out there, making it a social reality. And now, and the way memory works, memory is weird, okay? When you remember later on how you were talking in that party, you're going to actually, and the way the look into people's eyes that were looking back at you, you're going to actually believe that you're the man, okay? But no, you were just talking. You were talking to them, telling them you're the, making them think you're the man, by satisfying that urge. And now, not only is it just something in your head, it now has a social reality. It gives you a certain amount of satisfaction. And now you don't have that hunger anymore because you're satisfying that thing rather than actually going out there to do it. So first thing is, it's a human lesson that we've learned the hard way, is delayed gratification and sacrifice. Sacrificing now so you can get it tomorrow. And then number two, there are different scales of it. And we all know, because we're all social animals, we all know the difference between talking about something in order to actually, as a means to an end in terms of getting it done, versus just talking about it in order to project an image. And I don't care how tiny it is. Whenever you catch yourself doing that, whenever you catch yourself just saying something just to project an image, you want to stop it, bottle it up. That's good fuel for you to take action the next day. The next day, you're actually going to pick up your phone, and you're going to call the Small Business Administration rather than talking to your friend yesterday about the Small Business Association, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man. I agree. Taking
Can
the
I?
initiative,
No, go ahead. Sorry.
taking the initiative is definitely something that needs to be uh second to nature, man. Always pull the trigger. But well,
I was gonna say to piggyback off of what he was saying. For example, like a lot of people don't do Michael Jordan justice in the sense of understanding his trials and tribulations. Like for example, him having to like he literally lost 3 years in a row to one team. So it's basically to the Pistons, to the Bad Boy Pistons. So it's like he went through roadblocks and he had to literally just try to fight his way through that same roadblock in order to get to where he wanted to go. And as soon as he busted through, it was like boom. In less than 8 years, he had six championships. So I want other people to understand sometimes you're going to hit like roadblocks and you're going to hit places where it's like, man, you can't make any feels like you can't make any tractions, but you just really when they say tough times don't last, people do. And sometimes in this course of life, you just gotta really sometimes you could hustle the first 3 months, that's cool. And you can make sure you're all your P's and Q's about your business, getting your follow-ups, getting your emails, establishing a website. That's cool in all the first 3 months, but what about the next 3 months when your next quarterly and it's like you feel like you it feels like you regressed a little bit? Those are the critical or the pivotal moments where you know what you're made of. And once you push through, it's like nothing lasts forever. You know, you'll be all right. You can stand the test of times. That's my biggest thing. I would say for me, I would say I've learned in my short time on the earth, learning how to push through and not get so discouraged at the first sight of rejection or regression or letdown.
Yes, 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 for sure. And there will be many, many, many of those days. I mean, it's never ending, and I'm just thinking about it on two levels now. On the one level is like, as they say more money, more problems, but really it's actually accurate, right? In the sense that now you just have different problems, right? And so if you're an ant crawling on the floor, well, maybe the grains of sand were your problem at that time. But when you grow up and now you're just walking past the grains of sand and crushing other ants, now you start noticing fences and walls, right? And then when you grow up and you start jumping over those fences, now you're going to start noticing big buildings and skyscrapers. And it's actually not going to become less. The problems actually get bigger, right? But that's on an objective, from an objective point of view. But from a subjective point of view, you're going to wake up certain days where you're not going to feel like you're able to make a move, right? You're going to wake up certain days where you're going to feel like, maybe you just slipped, maybe you just made a slip in terms of your financial goals or your fitness goals or your business goals or whatever. And you're like, the end goal starts looking like it's receding further and further away. What can you get the idea. So purely from a subjective point of view, you're going to go through those lows and those lulls, and you're still just going to get up and roll with it. That's where the benefit of experience comes in, because experience will tell you that this is just how it is. It's like a rainy day, right? In a rainy day, you just grab your umbrella and you go outside, right? The same thing with the ebbs and flows of your own particular subjective consciousness. You're gonna get through those rainy days, and it's no different. When I say a rainy day, it's literally that, because sometimes we tend to think that we are not physical systems, like we live in heaven or something. No, the same way the rain falls, same thing is going to be happening with your hormones someday, right? So it's just the way it is. It's just like a cloud. It's just like the flow of a river. It's just like the tides. It's the same damn thing. And you don't sit there complaining about the tides or a cloudy day. You just move on with it, right? So with the benefit of experience, you can kind of see, okay, well, I guess it's a low tide day, right? But it doesn't mean I'm not going to go out there and do what I got to do in a low tide day, because I know the high tides are coming back, right? But so both subjectively and objectively, definitely obstacles never stop. And you don't want them to stop anyway.
Yeah, man. Because like you said, it's low tide now, but the high rise is about to come. You have to have that mindset because you have to power through a lot of shit that people say, due to the fact that you can tell that they're definitely not informed when it comes to financial or strategy moves in general. And like also I mentioned about powering through when you don't feel like it. Uh, early today I didn't feel like getting up at 6, but I had to be able to talk to my clients and I had to be able to talk to my team that runs my stores on a day to day. I was uh, I had to be able to push through, power through, and just be able to find a way how to just charge up my batteries and be able to get to processing and playing the game correctly. Uh, when I mean the game, I mean the chess. Be able to navigate when it comes to my team, how to manage them correctly, tracking, monitoring systems working correctly, ability to fix certain bugs, troubleshoot issues, the ability of all the, how can I put it, the internal operations in my business had to be covered to the fullest extent. So when it comes to what Ike was talking about, I feel like Ike has that competitive nature to be able to just power through. Just simple as that. And people that have that competitive nature, they're very detailed people to the core. Like it's amazing that somebody can be that detailed and very coordinated of everything. Because on a day to day, it's a grind. It's definitely a grind. Uh, its ability to become, in a way, mechanical. They say, they don't. A lot of people don't like the feeling of feeling robotic, but when it comes to having a system together, you have to be monitoring at all cues. But I'll pass it off.
Yes,
I
I
agree.
think. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I agree. You could go ahead.
The thing about being mechanical, for example, it's like so some people, or let's just say everybody, right, likes some novelty. Some people more than others. We like to switch things up, right? And uh, and generally, especially women tend to like this more, right? They tend to like surprises and a little bit of chaos to mix things up, right? And but this is something that we all share. So generally speaking, it's a good thing to do that, but you want to move your chaos into a particular band. Here's what I mean. You want to move your chaos and your surprise into the productive area, right? You want to be shocked by the fact that, wow, I landed that business. Let that be your little surprise and your chaos. Or, shit, I lost, I couldn't quite make it. Or, you know what? I'm going to challenge myself and I'm going to cold call that guy that, at this particular company, right? This particular contractor I'm trying to get a business with. You know what? I'm going to go above and beyond him. I'm going to cold call him. Or, you know what? I'm going to drive there and I'm going to try to start talking to the receptionist in the front desk. That way, I can perhaps start getting some clout there, and she can start giving me some insights, and so on and so forth. So, what am I saying? Last person mentioned being mechanical. So, yes, you want to be mechanical with things like when you wake up in the morning, when you go to bed at night, what you eat every day, all those kinds of things. You don't want to be thinking about those, right? You don't want to be looking for drama and looking for excitement in that area because it really doesn't do anything for you. Okay. Going to a different restaurant every day doesn't do anything for you. Okay. You want to create a system in that particular area. Okay, because sometimes people think, oh, does it just mean you're living a boring life? Like, no, you're not living a boring life. You're creating a system. Like me, for example, I always fly with the same airline. I always sit in the same seat, right? I have a system for when I leave for the airport, right? I like to have 2 hours at the airport to work on my laptop. Like all these things, I always stay at the same hotel because I don't want to think about that stuff. I don't want that to be a question. I want that to go to automatic mode. But guess what? Where is all the chaos and excitement coming from is what I'm actually pursuing. Okay. So I'm not looking for excitement by going to, and when I go to Seattle, I always go to the same steakhouse. I don't want to be thinking about which steakhouse I'm going to. When you find the right one, just stick to it. So for the mundane and for the routine things in your life, create a system for it, okay? And then move your search for excitement to the productive band. See, that's what the people don't want to do. They make excuses and say, oh, well, it's just boring. It's like, no, you don't want to actually do something productive. That's why you're looking for this excitement in restaurants and stuff like that. Like, no, systematize all those things and go out there in the marketplace and find your excitement out there.
Exactly, exactly. Now, I have a question for the panel. Do you believe in taking other people's systems or developing your own system by using the certain things you like of other people's systems?
I would say nothing new is under the sun. Or no, I said it's nothing new is under the sun. It's not what you do, it's how it's done. I would say you're basically whatever system you're applying is always remnants or is rudiment from something else, and you're just incorporating it to something that's convenient to you. So I would say it's a little bit of both. I mean, if it does, the saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. There's nothing wrong with going according to older norms and then just basically retrofitting it to your convenience.
Well, yeah, I do agree, but we're just talking for somebody that would say that they don't have a system or even a format to be able to plug in. We have to be able to at least create the format, then we can be able to then create the strategy and the tactics, then to be able to bring in the components and the tools, and if needed, people as well, in order to be able to put everything in one big one big gumbo, or compile it all together to create a system.
Mm.
A lot of
It's kind of
components.
interesting because there is, like with everything else, a component of temperament in here, your psychological makeup. Some people are what I call like chemists or bakers. They like to open recipe books. You know what I mean? They like to measure out and use their pipette and make sure everything is just right. And they go to the store before they cook, right? They make sure everything is there and they're measuring out the salt and all that kind of stuff. That is more a personality trait than not, right? Some other people are just cooks or chefs. They go by intuition, they go by taste, they don't care. They just open up the pantry and say, what's in here? And what can I do with it? Okay. So I tend to be more of the open up the pantry and just make stuff up as I go kind of guy. But I understand this is not for everybody because the chef or the chemist or the baker approach, I can see how there's a lot of efficiency in that approach. Okay, very top-down, centralized approach. I see how there's a lot of efficiency. So, but even seeing that, my personality says no, right? So, in other words, I can know that, okay, definitely there's no way that someone who has the personality of the chemist or the baker is going to want to come do what I'm doing, which is just open up the pantry and let it rip, right? So, definitely, I know that there's a personality aspect to it. For me, though, here's what I tend to do with any kind of system. Once I get the inkling or the very, like, for example, let's say it's a workout routine, or for me, let's say it's meditation, right? Once I get the first kind of whiff of what this person is talking about, I close the book, if you will, and then I go do it myself. Now, what do I mean by do it myself? I just jump in the pool of the general direction that person has said. And then I start systematizing it myself. I start learning myself. I start doing things and categorizing them and giving it little names for myself and be like, oh, when I do this, this happens. When I do that, that happens. Oh, I wonder if I could combine this with that and the other. And then later on, and I do this with cooking too and everything else. Later on, I then go back, right? I open up the book again or several other books or several other channels or whatever, and I start getting confirmation. Okay, I'm like, oh, Mr. Wim Hof, he does the ice bath thing and it works with the breathing, and it's like, oh, that's what's called double breathing, and this is that, and that is the other thing. But I went and I learned it myself, and so that when I come back and then I look at the other people, I'm more even reassured that yes, this actually works. This means something because I went and I saw it for myself, and they wrote it down in this book too. So now I know for sure. But a big part of this, as I said, is your temperament. If you are more of a chemist kind that likes to go with recipes, more power to you. You're way more efficient. You're going to make less mistakes. People like me tend to bump into walls more, but that's just like how we like to do it.
Yeah, man. Cause I actually like that. I actually respect the way how he laid the format down in the framework, more like the framework of how he gets into a groove and he be able to start, getting consistent free throws. Like I like to be able to use the analogy of, you're at the free throw line, you got 100 basketballs ready to be able to shoot in the form, miss a couple, some, but you get a rhythm where you're hitting 25 straight, nothing but net. And you have some that be able to have a rattle in, but you still made to get in. It's pretty much getting everything in motion and going and getting that, what they call a shooter's touch, where every time you just throw it up, you like Steph Curry, nothing but net, easy. So when it comes to figuring out self and figuring out, okay, this is how I feel comfortable. This is how I get my meditation from doing treadmill. Like that's my biggest meditation as well. So anybody else wants to chime in when it comes to that, like proper meditation, like treadmills is definitely priority for me every day, every single day, 2 times a day, actually.
I'm not sure what happens.
You can go ahead, Ike, on that one. I'm that's something I'm still working in terms of progress. That's a work in progress for me right now.
So, well, for me, meditation is one of the most important things that I ever got into in my life, right? And for me, it's the foundation, it's the bottom of the pyramid. And there are a couple of ways in which we can look at it. And the more it comes up, because I've been doing it for about 20 years now, and it became more and more popular as time went on. So now you even have apps and people constantly talking about mindfulness, this and that. And I think I'm going to actually do a stream on it, just because it seems like some people are actually interested in it. Now, why do I call it the foundation? Basically, if you're going to do anything, whether it be physical or mental or both, you're going to need certain things like concentration, right? Concentration is going to be key, okay? And if you cannot concentrate, then it doesn't matter what you're trying to do. And let's say you're trying to do math, okay? There is no chapter in the math book called concentration. But if you don't have the concentration, you're never going to learn the math, okay? Now, different biological makeups and also on different days, right? So some people, you're at your peak that day. You hit the right stride at the gym that morning, and the testosterone is flowing just right, and boom, you took the perfect shot of espresso at the right time, you're fully hydrated, and bam, right? Other people have their own genetic little thing going on. But generally speaking, concentration is something that we have to work on. Why am I talking about concentration? Because meditation is something that develops your concentration, okay? That is one of the main things that it does. Concentration and relaxation. And by relaxation, what I really mean is not being perturbed, being able to float in water, right? So being able to float in water, you don't fight the water, right? You actually relax, okay? But it's a different kind of a relaxation. It's a relaxation that means just become one with the water, right? It's not something you can tell somebody. They actually have to practice it, have to do it, right? You can't just tell them relax and then I just relax and I'm floating. You have to actually move with the water. So being not moved or flowing with whatever is going on externally and internally, the internal things tend to be the biggest ones, right? Our subjective consciousness, the fact that, 10 years ago, your uncle told you that you ain't shit, or your girlfriend dumped you, or whatever. These thoughts in your head, the feelings in your body, those are the things that are hardest to flow with. And you need concentration and equanimity to do it. And this is the foundation that you can then move on to do any other thing with, and whether it be studying a math book or a workout. So now athletes have that, and it's good that you mentioned the treadmill, because any kind of physical exercise has the advantage of already kind of putting you at that spot. And the peak or the pinnacle is when you're in the zone as an athlete, nothing but net, as you said, right? That is a meditation practice that you've done that got you to that point. Okay. And it is the ground floor. Concentration, equanimity, and sensory clarity is the ground floor for everything. Now, one other aspect of it, and I'll stop. The other aspect of it is freedom, because let's say you're the kind of person who just binge eats, or you can't control, in other words, the feelings in your body and the images in your head. You are just that lump of feeling and images. You get blown by the whichever way the external stimuli and the internal stimuli wants you to go. You don't really have a lot of consciousness. Okay. You're unconscious. That's your unconscious state. Okay. That's not a free state, right? Would you guys agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I
How
would
do you
agree.
get freedom
Definitely
from
agree.
that? How would you get freedom from that? The freedom is you want to create the person that is able to observe that lump of feeling and thoughts, okay? Rather than just be 100% consumed by feelings and thoughts, and you think that's who you are, you start to find out, by exercising certain things, I can actually watch the feelings and watch the thoughts, and this gives me room for freedom. The further away the further away I can push the feelings and the thoughts in terms of observing, the more room to decide that I have. Okay. Now that's one level deep. And then that usually that level is your exercises, your practices, your breathing. For me, breathing is the main key, and it's ubiquitous in all kinds of practices. People say, breathing is a very great access point. Okay. And that's why physical exercise, because especially cardio, really awakens your body, and you start feeling your body. You start watching your body rather than being your body. Now,
I definitely agree with that. I just wanted to add that. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Even if it's just a walk for like sometimes I would walk during the summer when I would have school. I just walk, if you walk for like 10 miles or just walk for an hour or 2 hours, your mind is it's filled with clarity. Look, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. That's a great example. That's a great example, and I'm glad I'm connecting there with that. Yes, your mind is full of clarity because you're able to observe it, because you're putting your body through not to get too deep into the technicalities, but as long as I see that you got what I'm saying, therefore people that are listening will get it too. I mentioned two things. I said that on the one hand, the bottom of everything is concentration, equanimity, and sensory clarity. That's the bottom of any kind of skill, whether it be a physical skill or a mental skill. And then on the other hand, we're talking about freedom. And this freedom is the kind of freedom which other people call happiness, spiritual growth, whatever you want to call it, okay? But that freedom is being able to, on the first layer of unconsciousness, which is just your pure feeling, the images in your head, and the talk in your head. In other words, your dream state, which is constantly what's going on with you, whether you're sleeping or awake, you're kind of just dreaming. Okay? You want to be able to step away from that dream state and look at it. Now that's one level, and that's usually with some kind of a technique. But then you create another level where you're observing the technique. So it's almost like an infinite regression. Okay? You can continue to create levels upon levels upon levels that watch. And so it's almost like the first level is you watch the unconsciousness, you watch the feeling. And then another level is you watch the watcher. And then you can watch the watcher that watches the watcher that watches, and you can just keep on going on and on and on in infinitum. Okay. You're never going to get to infinite freedom. You're never going to become God mode. Okay. but you can continue to create distance between what's happening and your observations of what's happening. And then this gives you freedom, but also a lot of power. Because while people think, oh, the feelings that I'm trying to get away from, I cannot control it, people think I want to turn away from it and maybe live a life of asceticism. I just don't want to, I want to become, I want to get rid of my ego. I want to, no, what you want to do is you want to step away from the ego so that you can actually wield it. Okay. You want to step away from that consciousness so that you can actually control it, because it's a very powerful weapon, but you cannot control it as long as you're unconsciously just being it. But when you're able to create enough space, then you can grab it and hold it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I do agree with you, man. Like, I agree with your take on it. Like, my take on it is the off and on button when it comes to ego, because you know everybody has one, but when it comes to a learning process, that's when you have to turn it off. And that's when you have to have your thinking cap and your learning cap and your ability to be able to not either, but to take the information, process it, and do your research, and to be able to do your own reconnaissance while still learning as well. Because when you do your own reconnaissance, you can be able to build off the research you just learned today, and to be able to open a big, not Pandora's box, but a vast land of information and abilities to be able to, use the information to create tools to be able to expand. Like, a lot of tools that I use is pretty much based off the information that I research and got the programmers to be able to plug it in and to keep things running and stabilize. So when it comes to my meditation ability, my meditation helps me control my ego. The treadmill helps me to be able to mentally detox correctly, and to be able to another thing, to be able to have just some blood flowing, constant blood flowing, and everything is wusa. So I agree with everybody's point when it comes to that. We all
There's a saying I heard recently, which is and next time, because we've all had that thing, right? There's something on our mind. It seems like the biggest thing in the world, and then we go to the gym, and then we come back, and the thing didn't go away, but now you're just like, why was I worried about that thing? It's like, it doesn't matter, right? And there's another saying, which is, and this is true of just our psychological makeup. Nothing is as important as it seems when you're thinking about it. Like, when you're thinking about something, by definition, you're blowing up the importance of it. Okay. So it is sometimes useful to know that, and that's why, when you put it down and then go to the gym and then go work out your body, get the hormones going, right, doing all that kind of stuff. Later on, you come back and you're like, this thing really isn't that big a deal. Now, there's a physical aspect to that, but there's a purely mental aspect to it that which you can utilize as well, which is, you're thinking about something, don't hesitate, and it seems too overwhelming, don't hesitate to drop it. Even if you think, oh my God, it's so important, and it's gonna just drop it, and then later on, you're gonna look at it from afar, and you're gonna see it's less important than you thought it was, even though it's still urgent and so on and so forth. But once your mind is focused on something, your mind has the tendency to blow it out of proportion. That's what it does.
Yeah, man, because you got to clear your mind so you can be able to deliberately make a useful action where it took clear thought, it took a very pragmatic and also objective type of approach, but still narrowing it down to a decision that benefits regardless. And especially when it comes to a complex situation of trying to handle emotions and trying to get off a rut, or be able to calm down from, like, with me personally, I'll tell you this personally, when I look at the media and shit, that shit gets me mad. But I have to I have to detach and deprogram myself and to be able to mentally regroup. And that's where my perfect time to get on the treadmill and tuning everything out. Don't not respond, but don't take any calls until I be able to fully regroup, because I don't want to have a situation where somebody's talking to me and they're getting a very hostile type of confrontational type of situation when it's not even their fault. It's not even really my fault. It's just that, the propaganda machine is running rampant. So that's where I deprogram myself and pretty much don't look at certain images or type of shit that would trigger me. Pretty much saving the argument or just not even entering the room altogether.
Do you use this for now, knowing this knowledge about how your attention can be consumed up by the media, let's say, and all the other things going on out there? Do you use this in any of or how do you use this in either of your business or your marketing, or how do you compete for people's attention, knowing what you know about the fact that there's all kinds of stuff from McDonald's to Fox News and so on and so forth trying to get their attention?
Well, it's a repeating machine. I pretty much took it as if I use the component of what I have is retargeting, remarketing, and the follow-up. Pretty much that's what I pretty much capture. It's a lot of targeting, audience targeting, a lot of analytics to be able to figure out what's the volume of the specific audience. And the repeating factor works, because if you repeat something over and over and over, it becomes truth to certain people. I noticed that when it comes to pertainments of media and what's going on now. So I pretty much take it as me being a marketer, because I sell products, so I am a marketer online. I just got to be more sharp when it comes to specific images. Like I noticed with McDonald's red and white, not red and white, red and yellow. Red and yellow is actually a color pattern that gets people's attention. Even noticing that as a little kid reacting to McDonald's commercials. So it's a lot of programming, a lot of subversive programming. So,
yes. You gotta cut through the clutter, and
yes,
it's one thing that I have learned, and I try to utilize. I'm not so adept at marketing, but I do my sales and public speaking and mass hypnosis type stuff, more on a when I'm in the room type thing, right? And one thing that I learned was to understand that my competition is not the other product manufacturer, let me say, right? It is, as you mentioned, Fox News and billboards and coronavirus and the guy's wife and the guy's kid, all the things that occupy his mind. Just like you said, my mind, this stuff gets me angry and I got to go to the treadmill. Okay. So when what you're competing for in sales or marketing is your attention. And you're not competing if you're out there to sell a pen. You're not competing with the other pen manufacturer. You're silly if you think he's thinking about the pens or pen manufacturers. You're competing against everything. So in other words, your competition is a lot fiercer than you think, but also it makes it a lot simpler in the sense that you just want to get in. It's not like, oh, I got to sneak around the pen manufacturer. It's like, no, that's not even your competition. The pen manufacturer, your competitor pen manufacturer is not even on the guy's mind. That's not what's keeping him from, that's not what's keeping you from getting his attention. So it becomes a slightly different game. It becomes a game where you can be more direct and you can take a little bit more risks because you're just trying to wake them up, because most people, most of the time, and by most, I mean us, everybody, unless you've taken active measures to wake yourself up that day, you're kind of sleeping, right? And you're talking to somebody across the room from you, trying to convince them of something. Get their attention with simple phrases, with imagery, right? and with directness. Don't be indirect. Be direct. Whatever it takes to shake them up, that's what you want in order to get their attention.
Yeah, man, you got to be able to reel people in, and
Exactly.
with the images reel people in. Uh, a lot of the way how the media and marketing in general is finding people's trigger points, finding, okay, what's my audience trigger points, trying to be able to get it at a fine line to a fine T, and understanding of, okay, this is what gets them going off. You know, we're going to be able to find a couple images that either is that or resembles to that, and we're going to be able to roll it out. We're going to roll it out, and we're going to be able to use the repeating factor, because a lot of stuff is a repeating process. Seeing something in general TV, you'll see like the same seven times. You probably see the same commercial 7 times through that whole broadcast, and it's nothing but remarketing. It's nothing but if we didn't get you the first time, we'll get you the second time. If we didn't get you the third time, you remember us the fourth time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And and that's a key thing because it's, you mentioned, for example, also the McDonald's thing where the colors get the attention. It's not necessarily it's not some kind of a message that says go get a burger, right? Because your physical organism will do that. Your physical organism will get hungry and think, what do I want to eat? Right? You get what I'm saying? Or whatever the need is that you want to satisfy, they don't have to tell you that. They just have to be the thing that you think of when that need comes up, right? So I don't have to tell you to go get a burger, McDonald's says, right? I just gotta be in your head so that when your natural I gotta get a burger thing happens, which is in your body already, I don't have to worry about that. I want my image to come up when it's the first, as the first thing that comes to your mind. And as the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of accounting software. You're not thinking of accounting software now. Yeah, sure. You're not thinking of a tax preparer now. No. But when you start thinking of a tax preparer, I want my image to be in your head.
Bingo. You have to be that guy that, okay, whenever they're ready and feel comfortable, they be able to zip right through where your business is at, where your service is at, and be like, okay, that's my guy right there.
Yes. Yes. And I notice when I actually do that, like as in when in my own consuming patterns, right? And I like to reward salespeople like that are persistent and so on and so forth. So, for example, I recently got Legal Shield, you know, for some law stuff, the subscription model to do certain things for me and chase down invoices and stuff like that, right? I got it about a year ago, but 2 years prior to that, the guy that was, reaching out to me trying to get me to sign up, he put the idea in my head, like he called me and then he would follow up, right? And at that point, I didn't feel like I had a need for Legal Shield, or I'm like, a little skeptical, whatever. But when the time came, okay, and I'm like, oh, I need that. The first person, guess who the first person was that came to mind, right?
Yeah.
It was that guy.
The guy that cultivated the relationship.
Exactly. And it's not always gonna immediately pay off. This happens to me also. I just talk about my consumer patterns and also, but now in my business pattern, when I'm the one providing the product or the service or software or whatever, it happens all the time when you don't know 2 years down the line, you get this recommendation from this person. It may not be necessarily the person that you build the relationship with, but that person recommends you to somebody else, right? And boom, now you're in business. Now you just added one more client to your roster, right? So get their attention, and to what was mentioned earlier in the panel, which is your reputation is key. Your reputation with your client, right? Your reputation with your client and your reputation, your public persona is key. Sometimes you have to just do a good job. Do whatever you got to do to do a good job. When you start doing something, for the most part, especially when it's a service, you may have to take a loss, right? I remember my first kind of big engineering contract, right? It was first of all, you got to take risks. That's kind of one thing that kind of goes, that's the whole what entrepreneur is the risk taker. But you got to take risk. Here's this big freaking thing in front of me. It's a major project. Signed the NDA, so I don't want to kind of like mention it. But this is something that definitely, looking objectively, somebody would tell you, yo, Ike, you don't have any business trying to tackle this, But I went in and I did what I had to do, right? It was like a whole 2.5 year project, right? And I didn't take any vacations, and I was doing all kinds of crap in order to make sure that stuff was done. And I did not really charge them too much, right? So it was a huge loss, but I learned a lot. I formulated certain relationships, and when I was in the next room of people trying to convince them to get me a job with a different company, I could confidently say, yes, I did that job, right? And you have a reputation. You don't just. In other words, I didn't take that job and then drop the ball or say, oh, you know what, I'm not really getting a big profit out of this. Like, no, have a clean reputation out there, and it will pay off. The next job, easy one, because I built up the machinery, right? I ground through and built up the machinery by, bumping into all the walls that I bumped into in doing that first job. Plus, I was able to now charge the right amount of money because now I have the confidence that I can do this. And boom,
Yeah.
charge that amount and easy peasy.
That was the test run. You completed the test run, and the test run helped you get, like you said, gain the confidence and also understand the I like to call it hidden rules, where the book don't tell you this specific monkey wrench that can be thrown at you, or this specific troubleshooting issue that maybe the first time you step in that door that probably hit you right upside your head. And that's where you get the, okay, I took my punches, I have my counter punches ready, I'm ready to implement it, and I pretty much just pull the trigger, man. Just go, just implement, just ready to go. Just boom, 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 hit it on all cylinders. So what you just mentioned is someone can actually competing and completing that test run. So salute to you on that one, Ike. Because a lot of people would have said, nah, man, I'm losing money on this one, and didn't understand the value of the experience.
Yes, and somebody said something once which I intuitively didn't agree, because I'm like a risk taker type. I'm a risk taker. Plus, as I said earlier, I have that temperament where I just open up. I want to open up the pantry and figure it out, right? And it's fun for me. Okay, so it's not like I'm one of those people who sat down and then mapped out my life and was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I more just kind of stumble into things because I'm just a busybody, and I'm also an introvert, meaning I have time. Okay, I have time because I'm an introvert, and I just I have time to do stuff, and I just go ahead and do stuff. Now, the whole thing about the hidden rules that you mentioned is very, very, very important. And you said that it's not in the books, and it's not because people are hiding it. It's because there is no way of expressing it. The simple analogy, right, which we all know, is riding a bicycle. I don't care how many books you read, they cannot tell you how to ride a bicycle. And it's not because these bicycle experts are hiding the truth from you, right? The thing is, they could not possibly tell you how to ride a bicycle. They could tell you all kinds of things about the right bicycle to buy, the right seat, the right helmet, the right gloves, the good way to do this on trails, and that and the other, the knee pads and the shoes. But you're going to then get on the bicycle and you're going to fall, and you're going to be like, wow, they didn't tell me these things. But it's like, no, they cannot tell you. Tacit knowledge, or the hidden rules, or however you want to put it, is applicable in most endeavors, because people tend to think that the bicycle riding is unique. No, most things are like riding a bicycle. Most things have all kinds of hidden rules which people cannot tell you even if they wanted to.
Yeah, man, because it's really actually getting your feet wet and you actually getting the rhythm of things. Because that same thing with dancing, man. You can teach somebody how to be able to moonwalk, how to be able to glide and thrust, but when they actually get to it, they can only do it with socks. But yeah, man, like it's just getting into a rhythm, because that's really what I meant by the silent rule, the hidden rule. Baseball. Like I play baseball, and there's a lot of specific rules that you're just supposed to know. A lot of the times, it's just you supposed to know just off of instincts, just sheer instincts of just being a person that's on not animalistic, but how can I put it? A fierce hunter. Let's just put it in that, a fierce hunter, where you're pretty much just scanning every opportunity. Because when you said that you're a person that you just be able to fall into a situation, or then accidentally slipped on some money.
Yep. I constantly accidentally slip on some money all the time. Right? Always say yes. And the thing that I said that somebody said that I don't agree with was somebody was giving business advice, and they're not necessarily. This is not like some kind of an expert or something. So I'm not holding it against them that they said this, but someone asked them like, okay, when did you or how do you know when to do a business? And I think that they misspoke, and they said when you know that you can handle everything that comes up, right? Then start your business. And that I think they misspoke. I think that what they really meant to say is don't go in there unless you're ready to handle things that you've never handled before and that you don't know how to handle. In other words, until you're ready to take on that responsibility. Because with everything else, when you're ready, it's already too late. Like if you're ready, it's too late. The opportunity is already gone by. Always say yes. You don't know how to do this particular kind of work? Yeah, go ahead, say yes. Because if somebody can do it, okay, look, it's not brain surgery, right? It's not brain surgery, okay? And it's, as a matter of fact, it's very, 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 very far away from brain surgery, whatever it is we're talking about here. So say yes. If somebody out there can do it, you can do it too. Go out there, get the expertise. And that's where the network is also very important, right? In terms of know somebody that you can call and be like, hey, I just got myself into this freaking thing. How do I dig myself out of this hole, if you will, right? And that's the only way. If you sit down, there's another statement that I like, which is there is no business plan that fails on paper. Nobody ever writes a business plan. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Oh crap, step 5, we failed. Oh, let me erase and start. No. Step 5 always wins. It's always, yeah, and then we win. So, but the point is, it's useless because you don't actually learn anything from it because you always win, right? And you only really learn from failures. This is true of muscles, right? You lift up 50 pounds, it fails, and then it comes back not ready to lift 50 pounds, but ready to lift 75, right? And then you lift 75, it fails, and then it comes back ready to lift 100. This is true of also any decentralized system, and mainly organic systems are that way, right? Evolution works that way. Through generations and generations, you learn, you adapt, you come back stronger, right? The economy works that way. The whole multi-headed hydra of capitalism works that way. Now, it's not very efficient because in life, it's about trade-offs. There's no solution. There's only trade-offs. So the problem with, as I mentioned before, my system of opening up the pantry or evolution system of just kind of trial and error or capitalism or your muscles or whatever, these decentralized systems they're not very efficient in the sense that there's no one master that decides now lift 200 pounds or no, it has to try and fail, right? Same thing with the economies that are decentralized, right? If you're the most efficient way is to just be the Communist Party of China and you decide, right? But you're not stable when you're that way. When you have one head, you chop up the head and you're done. And also you don't have a lot of information flow through the system. In the decentralized system, like your body or evolution or a purely capitalist system, has more information flow and it's more robust. You cannot kill it easily, but you got to go with it's not so efficient, right? So There's only trade-offs, and there's no perfect solutions. I gotta hop on to another meeting here. And,
All right,
so-
for sure, man. I was about to close it up anyway, so Ike, it was nothing but a pleasure. Thank you for the information, and I appreciate all your support that you gave, man. I pretty much have learned something new today, man. Be
Well,
adaptable like water, and Ike taught me that. Ike taught me that.
Yeah, you can. You know the Bruce Lee quote, right? I mean, he was, you gotta be like water. But yeah, but definitely, it was a pleasure, and thank you.
For sure, man. I'm about to close it out. RDF out.